Imagine a world where the idea of being fresh has nothing to do with the sharp scent of soap or the clean sting of alcohol. Instead, fresh means dried herbs, tucked into clothing, lavender, rosemary, sage, fighting a losing battle against the deep human musk of skin that has not been washed in weeks, sometimes months. This is medieval England. And here, taking a hot bath is not a luxury. It is a gamble, a risk, possibly a death sentence. To us, hot water means comfort and cleanliness. To them, it means danger. Physicians and scholars, still haunted by the Black Death, warn that bathing opens the pores, and pores in medieval medicine are not harmless openings. They are breaches in the fortress of the body, cracks in the wall, where invisible killers drift in on poisoned air. Disease does not come from germs. It comes from miasma, bad air, corrupted wind, a silent fog that seeps into exposed flesh. In that world, dirt is not filth. Dirt is protection. On a freezing morning in 14th century London, or inside a drafty manor house in Yorkshire, the day begins quietly. No pipes rattle, no water steams, no warmth waits behind a door. You rise from bed and step onto a floor covered in rushes. Straw mixed with herbs that have not been replaced in months. They crunch softly underfoot. They smell faintly sweet and faintly rotten. By your bedside sits a shallow basin. You dip a rough piece of linen into cold water. Your hands sting. You wipe your face, your hands, maybe your neck. If the chill does not cut too deep, perhaps behind your ears, that is it. This is the washing you will do today. The rest of your body remains sealed beneath layers of grime, sweat, and yesterday's labor. Layers believed to protect you from the air itself. Medieval medical authorities repeat the warning endlessly. Hot water opens the pores, and once open, nothing stops the pestilence from entering. Clean skin is vulnerable skin. A thin coating of dirt becomes armor. Survival means staying sealed. For the aristocracy, hygiene follows a different logic, but no less strange. They place their faith not in water, but in linen. This is one of the great medical beliefs of the age, that fine white linen acts like a living sponge. As you sweat, the fabric is thought to draw impurities, toxins, and corruption out of your body through the pores and trap them in the cloth. The body is cleaned indirectly, without ever touching water. A nobleman might change his linen undershirt 3 or 4 times a day, sending each fresh garment crisp, cool, and reassuring against the skin. He believes the act of changing linen is the same as bathing. His skin remains untouched by soap for weeks, yet he considers himself clean. This belief becomes so powerful that white linen turns into a status symbol. The bright edge of a shirt, cuff, or collar peeking out from under rich outer garments announces wealth and refinement. It silently declares that he is clean without bathing. The poor, of course, have no such luxury. Linen is expensive, changes are rare, sweat and dirt build up faster than they can be managed, and nowhere is this difference more visible or more painful than in the mouth. Dental hygiene in medieval England is not preventative. It is reactive, brutal, and desperate. There are no toothbrushes, no gentle pastes. Instead, you take a strip of coarse linen and dip it into a harsh mixture of ground salt, crushed bone, charcoal, and bitter herbs. You scrub your teeth hard, scraping away what you can. The sound is unpleasant, the sensation worse. Enamel wears down, gums bleed, but this is better than rot. If a tooth begins to ache, the explanation is almost always the same. A toothworm gnawing at the root from within, and the solution is terrifyingly simple. A barber surgeon. A pair of iron pliers. No anesthesia. The tooth is pulled in a single violent motion. The crack echoes, blood follows. The pain, if you survive, eventually fades. Smiles in this era are cautious things, rarely white, often broken, always guarded. To make up for what cannot be cleaned, medieval society turns to scent. Perfumes are not luxuries. They are necessities. Musk, rosewater, myrrh, cinnamon, amber applied generously to hair, gloves, sleeves, and collars. The goal is not to smell pleasant. but to cover the unavoidable reality of human bodies living in unchanged skin. If personal hygiene is a quiet, private struggle, waste management is a public nightmare. For a modern observer, the most shocking realization is not dirty faces or unwashed hair, it is the complete absence of sanitation systems. No sewers, no flushing water, no safe way to remove waste, even at the height of luxury. The castle. The solution is crude. The toilet, known as the garderobe, is a stone bench with a hole carved into it. Jutting out over a moat or cesspit, gravity does the rest. Nothing is washed away. In summer, the fumes rising from the pit below are so strong they sting the eyes and burn the throat. Yet even here, medieval ingenuity finds a use. Inside the garderobe, noblemen hang their finest garments. Velvet, silk, fur. Because the ammonia fumes rising from human waste kill fleas and moths, the toilet becomes a fumigation chamber. Step outside the castle walls and into the tight alleyways of London, and the situation grows worse. The common people rely on shared latrines or wooden buckets emptied into backyard pits, or more often straight into the street gutter. The city produces more waste than it can handle. Holding back that tide is a group of men rarely mentioned in history. The gong farmers, by law, they work only at night. So respectable citizens do not have to see or smell their labor. They descend into cesspits, often waist deep in human waste, shoveling it out by hand. It is one of the deadliest jobs in medieval England. The fumes alone can kill. Men collapse, suffocated in darkness, swallowed by the very filth they are paid to remove. Above ground, the battle continues. Laws demand cleaner streets. Muckrakers scrape away layers of waste. But the true street cleaners are animals, pigs roaming freely. Eating scraps tossed from windows, they reduce garbage and add manure. The smell of a medieval city becomes legendary. Travelers describe it as a physical blow. Rotting straw, animal waste, smoke, and the sharp chemical smell of tanneries where urine and dog waste are collected in open vats to cure leather. You do not just see the city, you inhale it. And when nature calls, there is no toilet paper waiting. If you are wealthy, you might use soft wool or linen scraps. If you are not, you use what is near: moss, leaves, hay, straw, rough, scratching, unreliable. Hands are rarely clean, wiping is imperfect, and this creates a biological cycle that defines medieval life. Almost everyone carries intestinal parasites. Worms live inside the gut, silent passengers, draining energy in a world where food is already scarce. A hidden tax on the body, stealing calories, earned through exhausting labor. And yet to judge these people only by filth is to miss the truth. Their immune systems are built through constant exposure. They survive bacterial loads that would put a modern human in the hospital within days. They fight back with herbal knowledge, vinegar, alcohol, and hard-earned experience. They are not dirty by choice. They are held back by the limits of their time. Living in medieval England meant existing inside a constant biological negotiation. Every day was a balancing act between protection and decay, between sealing the body against danger and enduring the consequences of that seal. Because while dirt was believed to protect, it also trapped heat, sweat, and bacteria. Clothing absorbed moisture, skin chafed, infections grew unnoticed beneath layers of fabric. And still, most people carried on because there was no other choice. What modern eyes often miss is that medieval people were not unaware of discomfort. They felt itch, soreness, fever, and fatigue just as strongly as we do. But they understood these feelings through a different way of thinking. Illness was not something you caught from a surface or a person. It was something that drifted, corrupted, and seeped in. That belief shaped everything. When plague swept through England, killing nearly half the population, it did not inspire a rush toward cleanliness. It did the opposite. It made people more afraid of exposure. Water, especially hot water, became suspect. Bathing houses closed, washing pulled back to the edges of daily life. Instead of washing bodies, people washed objects. Clothing was aired out, beaten, hung near smoke. Linen was boiled and replaced. Wool was brushed and dried. The body beneath was secondary. If the outer layer appeared clean, the person was considered safe enough, and appearance mattered more than reality. This focus on outward order went beyond clothing. Houses were arranged to manage smell. Herbs were scattered across floors, not only for scent, but to show care and status. A sweet-smelling room suggested discipline. A foul one suggested moral failure. Even if the conditions were the same, in this world, smell became a language. The strong scent of herbs suggested refinement. Heavy perfume suggested wealth. The raw smell of sweat and labor marked class lines instantly. You did not need to ask who worked for a living. You could smell it, and nowhere was that divide clearer than in cities. Medieval London was not just crowded. It was packed in every sense. Sounds overlapped. Smells layered. Waste built up faster than it could be removed. Houses leaned inward, trapping air between them. Smoke from hearth fires mixed with human odor and animal waste, forming a haze that never truly cleared. People adapted by becoming less sensitive. What would overwhelm a modern person became background noise. Children grew up breathing it. Adults stopped reacting. The body learned to endure what the mind could not escape. This adaptation came at a cost. Parasites thrived. Worms were so common they were almost expected. A swollen belly was not always hunger. It was infestation. Long-lasting tiredness was not laziness. It was the body being drained. Yet most people never connected these symptoms to sanitation. They were simply part of life. And still, medieval people held on. They developed deep knowledge of herbal medicine, garlic, vinegar, alcohol, and certain tree resins were known to slow infection. Wounds were cleaned with wine, tools were heated in fire, not because of germ theory, but because heat was connected with purity. These practices did not wipe out disease, but they helped enough to survive. Even waste, as overwhelming as it was managed through brutal necessity. Gong farmers died young, but they kept entire neighborhoods from becoming unlivable. Pigs consumed garbage that would otherwise rot. Rivers carried away filth at a terrible cost to nature, but cities depended on them. Every solution was partial, every system strained. What comes out of this picture is not stupidity or carelessness, but strength operating at the edge of possibility. Medieval hygiene was not a failure of care. It was the best deal available under crushing limits. Technology limited water access. Fuel was expensive. Soap was rare. Medical understanding was incomplete. Fear of disease changed behavior more than any scientific idea. And yet, people still looked for dignity. They groomed hair. They changed linen. They perfumed gloves. They swept floors. They created routines of order inside chaos. Not because it made them clean by today's standards, but because it made life feel manageable. This is the part history often skips. It is easy to look back and pull away, to imagine medieval people as dirty, careless, and ignorant, but that reaction says more about modern thinking than past reality. Cleanliness is not a universal standard. It is a technology. It requires infrastructure, knowledge, fuel, water, and time. Strip those away and hygiene becomes improvisation rather than routine. When we look at medieval England, its shadowed streets, its towering cathedrals, its crowded homes, we should not only see what is missing, we should see what it took to keep going at all, to raise families in rooms filled with smoke, to work fields while carrying parasites, to survive epidemics without understanding their cause, to hold on to dignity while living inside biological chaos. The history of medieval hygiene is not a story of laziness. It is the story of a relentless, exhausting battle against the human body itself, against decay, against exposure, against fear. Cleanliness in that world was not a habit. It was a luxury, bought with labor, paid for with risk, and earned day after grinding day, by people doing the best they could with what they had. And once you understand that, the medieval world stops smelling like failure and starts smelling like survival.